Thanks for saving the news.
Ron, where'd you get the scoop?
We decided to address the genophobia first and then focus on the real value that she could create at Fairfax for all Australians.
Let's have a look.
Unlike some of our other leaders, Gina Rinehart knows how to run a business successfully. She has some strong opinions that don't change with the wind. If she ran Fairfax, there's no doubt you'd get to know some of them. But they'd be about real issues. They'd be out there for us to love, hate and talk about. Because Gina knows better than anyone that when the orders stop coming, we need to be a nation of thinkers, not doers. Let's get Australia talking. Let's get Australia thinking.
Russell, I thought, how do you beat a cute girl singing? Apparently, a monkey. Which did you prefer, mate?
They're both terrific. I like the notion of thinkers, not doers. However, I am going to go for the first one, Joel, because I just love the notion of bringing back the jingle.
Dee, what did you think?
Yeah, look, I really like the beginning of the thinkers, not doers, particularly. It was sort of setting up a good argument. But that sort of jingoistic jingle, I mean, there's no sort of sense to it. It's pure emotion, but it just tends to work. I'm going with the song.
Toby, what for you?
A brand that was big in the 90s needs a 90s idea. I like the jingle.
Finally, Todd?
I also thought the jingle was really funny, and I'm sure Gina's about to buy it, so...
Well, congratulations. More jingle.
Well done, mate. Well done. That was excellent. That was excellent.
Good. That's how the panel saw it. You can have your say on Twitter or Facebook or just chalk it on the footpath outside. Gruen Planet, we look deeper. In February this year, feminist collective Pussy Riot gatecrashed Moscow's Cathedral of Christ the Saviour and performed the punk rock prayer, an appeal to the Virgin Mary to end the reign of Vladimir Putin. The Wiggles are a lot more edgy in Russia. 2 escaped, but 3 were caught and charged with hooliganism motivated by religious hatred. After a farce of a trial which had global media coverage, last week they were given the minimum 2-year sentence. Look, we wouldn't be having this conversation if there were 3 middle-aged blokes called Cock Riot. Russell, how much do you reckon newsreaders just love saying pussy?
Glad you asked me that question. There's so much to say about this story, isn't there? It's like... So, you know, 1964, Goldfinger, pussy galore, you know, and everyone, oh, pussy, that's unreal, isn't it? And it makes me think about Richard Branson calling his business Virgin. And, of course, that accelerated his success because he had the balls to call his business Virgin.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and then...
I got to be honest with you, I think after a pussy riot, there's no virgin. Go on.
So then, of course, you have a name like Pussy Riot, and you dress like this, and of course it makes amazing news. But actually what's going on is seriously hardcore. You've got 3 people that are now in jail because they have protested. Yep. So in a way, I'm not so... The brand part of me says this is unreal, Pussy Riot, rock on. But then you sort of think about it a bit harder. It's like, I don't know whether I like the name now. Yeah, because ultimately it's masking what's really going on, and what's really going on is dead set serious.
Although what's really going on is going on in 120 different countries where nobody's, you know, getting attention, for what's going on. So, you know, is the reason we're paying any attention to this story because of the name Pussy Riot?
This is a very interesting social media case study because everything may have been fine except it went viral and that pissed off the Kremlin and the church, and they had to publicly take action against them, and pretty extreme action if you think about it. For going into a church and singing, they got 2 years in prison.
Todd, as an act of branding, how good are the coloured balaclavas?
Every movement needs symbols and needs something to kind of other people to use. And in this case, the balaclavas, the colour is that. And they specifically chose not to use military-style balaclavas. They specifically chose to use these sort of colourful ones. And also, it was about anonymity in the beginning. There's 10 of them, and 3 were caught. And they know they're playing a very dangerous game here. So, yeah, it's very good branding. And you can see all around the world now, they've adapted these sort of clavas, and they've got finger poppers. They've got lots of different things
It's
around.
interesting. What they wanted to do is focus the attention on the idea. Yeah, so their notion is we're going to focus people's attention on the idea and not the personalities.
Yeah.
But again, I would suggest that that's failed because now it's all about the personalities.
But I'd also suggest the biggest crime committed here is terrible music. I mean, that music is pretty bad, whatever way you cut it.
In the last couple of weeks, it seemed like every pop star in the world has jumped on the Pussy Riot bandwagon. Bjork, the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Sting chorused their support. Paul McCartney tweeted best wishes. And Madonna speechified during her Moscow concert.
I think that they have done something courageous. I think they have paid the price for this act, and I pray for their freedom.
Now, everybody Vogue. Toby, do you really want Sting and Madonna on your side?
Look, I don't think they'd be my first choice of character witness if I was taking on the Kremlin, to be honest. They've got sort of rock star disease, that notion that because a lot of people listen to them, they've actually got something to say. It's nice that they're doing it, but I don't know that it's going to be that helpful.
I mean, I read that Alicia Silverstone wrote a letter to Vladimir Putin to make sure that the girls could get vegan food in prison.
Yeah.
And I just thought, in light of everything that happened, she thought that Putin would go, oh, the girl from Clueless has got in touch. I mean, that's changed my mind. Well done, Alicia.
It's interesting, isn't it, when you've got, OK, you can get Madonna and Sting, etc. on your side, and you can rack up big social media numbers. You've got, say, 500,000 people who've you know, tweeted that this is... Tweeted.
Jesus Christ.
So you've got 500,000 tweeted...
Thank you.
...versus 500,000 people in the streets. So there's no one in the streets. People are just thinking that they're doing something by being on social media.
Slacktivism.
Yeah, it's... Oh, come on.
Well, there is some people in the streets. In England, the Brighton Feminist Collective organised a free Pussy Riot flash mob. Yep, that'll help. You know your cause is doomed when someone suggests a flash mob. And in Kiev, another group, Femin, felled a holy cross in solidarity. Topless. It's good to see Warwick Kappa getting some work.
I've changed my mind, but I like social media activism.
Well, she was out and about doing something. She wasn't just tweeting about cutting down a cross topless. Getting your breasts out will always get you coverage, but Dee, will anyone notice the point you're trying to make?
Sometimes you need to be really careful that what you use to cut through doesn't vamp your message. But I think in this case the breasts are relevant. The whole name Pussy Riot is about sort of feminine strength. It's actually the cutting down the cross that's weird, because the girls weren't against religion. Their thing was a prayer. They're against the church giving a vote to Putin, and that's quite different. So it's the cross-cutting that's discordant for me.
This is what social media can do brilliantly, is create a circus and create so much hype around it and getting people to do things that actually totally distract from whatever their cause actually was in the beginning.
Yes.
The real question, of course, is what would Putin do? Not much, but he did have this to say in London before the verdict.
I hope the court will rule with a just decision. If the band, let's say, defiled a sacred place in Israel, they would have to cope with some tough guys there and would face difficulties when attempting to leave the country. Nevertheless, I don't think we should judge them too strictly.
To be honest, I was not aware he had such a strong Irish accent. They are in trouble, to be sure, to be sure. In Russia, still a highly religious country, he's positioning himself as a defender of the church. Editorials in the West have huffed and puffed that he's gone too far. Toby, do you think it'll cost his reputation?
No. Internationally, people think he's a prick. Domestically in Russia, there are mixed opinions. There was actually a survey after this trial. 44% of people said they thought it was fair. Only 17% said they thought it was unfair.
Remember, the church said, prior to him being elected, that he was a miracle of God.
Yeah.
And the church is more popular in Russia than Putin is. Now he's connected himself much more strongly to the church.
Putin might not care, but others do. One Russian artist sewed his mouth shut in protest. Ow. Social media was home to a zillion conversations about the trial, but for all the support, even from the church itself, the women are going to jail. As the verdict was handed down, Pussy Riot released its new single, Putin Lights Up the Fires. Is this whole thing at least a great publicity stunt for the band? Todd, who wins here?
I don't think the cause wins. I think that this has got a huge amount of publicity, but I think it has reminded us of something we already know, that the authoritarian, male chauvinistic leadership in Russia still exists today. I think what it will do is it'll do a brilliant job for the band and album sales when they're out, and their popularity. I think it will absolutely do that. But I think the cause itself has been lost.
The most important outcome is that this is bad publicity for Russia. Yeah, and that obviously can't be good.
I think Putin, he wrestles tigers for lunch. I don't think he gives a shit.
Exactly right.
I must admit, it was the first time ever in my life I've been able to type Pussy Riot into my computer for a good reason. Gruen Planet, built for any challenge. That's all for tonight. Please thank our panellists, Russell D, Toby and Todd. We'll leave you with another candidate for personal worst, our quest to find the worst performance by an athlete in a commercial of all time. It's like the world's worst doorbell. The winner will have to make space in the pool room for a rare and priceless piece of memorabilia, the brown Logie. I think the sound effect is taking away from people's enjoyment of the Logie. This week, as the Wallabies lick their wounds after falling to the All Blacks for the millionth time in a row, we remind them that some things are worse than losing. Like this ad, which features a performance from Wallabiba James O'Connor that's strictly reserve grade. See you next week.
To play at my best, gotta be agile, which can put pressure on my knees. That's why I choose Swiss Aldi Boost joints, an anti-inflammatory formula made with wild Neptune krill oil, which for those with arthritis has been shown to reduce symptoms in 7 to 14 days. Glucosamine sulfate for cartilage and boswellia used for many years to improve joint motion, which makes it easier for me to step around the field. That's why I choose Swiss, while you feel better on Swiss.